Yeah, real can crack.
That was a good one.
Not the fake can crack. We're drinking today, Paige. Ooh, this is good. This is a new, rarely on this glorious podcast do I drink a beer I've never had before.
Oh, so I didn't know you never had that one.
I've never had this. We'll do a can reveal. Actually, I don't even know what it is. I've got a handful of beers that were gifted to me, including a sour. Have you ever had a sour?
Yes, of course. I don't drink normal beer. And so like when I go places, they're like, oh, we have a cider or a sour.
Got a bit of a love-hate with the sour beers. Don't.
Okay.
Just, they're good. I'm always willing to try a beer. And I can't remember if I did this last year, but I have a chocolate porter that will be debuting on a show in the next couple of weeks. So cheers to you. Cheers to us. Cheers to college football. So I want to bring this up first before we talk about craziness. We enter is week 8, right? That is it?
It is.
And by the way, that is a bomb sweatshirt. I want to bring that up first. So,
municipal.
Look at me though. I can't wear this coat because I'll sweat.
And I already sweat. Coat was so.
Is it like Midwestern-y?
Yeah.
Like quote. I can't wear this coat.
You got a good coat.
But this is so nice. We're not just saying this because I'm getting free stuff, but my wife is jealous. Like she's like, you got another package from Municipal. Like, oh, well, let me see. So it's getting cold here. And I love this coat. Got the little like black, white, and orange trim. This is a good vibes coat, and I've been wearing it all week.
You may not have seen this, but Mark Wahlberg did a OOTD-esque video, and he has that jacket. So we're gonna need you to do one of those. That is actually my birthday. My birthday is this week. Okay, it's Friday.
Happy birthday! Cheers.
My gift, your gift to me is going to be a video OOTD, and we'll post it probably next week. So you're going to have to put your camera up, go back and show all your Municipal gear. And that's going to be your birthday present to me and to really everyone, the people.
I had to again, look at what this video was to understand it, but I get it. So this jacket was involved, the one I held up?
Yeah.
Me and Mark?
Yeah, you and Mark.
Couple of fashionable gents, just a couple of guys showing off their coats. What can we say? That's it. So municipal.com.
Yes.
No punts 20. Come on, this stuff is great. I am enjoying it immensely. And pants also, just digging it. A little mad I can't wear the shorts anymore because it's getting cold, although it's going to be 75 degrees here. So, okay, what I wanted to talk about football-wise.
Yes.
Week 8. This is pretty much the halfway point. Like, we're halfway done with the season.
Yep.
And I start to get a little sad. Because, as I look at the schedules, and I do this every week for when I'm writing about locks or whatever. You open up the schedules. I use whatever you're using, and you're like, okay, they've got, oh my God, there's only 5 games left. Or, I start to do the math on the weeks. I mean, it's almost Halloween, right? Playoff rankings are a couple of weeks out. You and I will be able to break that down on BR, which I'm really looking forward to. So I'm not quite there yet in the full-on panic. Oh my God, the season's going too fast. But it's going a little fast. I'm just saying.
I feel like, yes, because I'm shocked that it's already the halfway point. But I feel like we still have so much good football in front of us. And I feel like sometimes at this point of the year, things have sort of worked themselves out in terms of we have the big games like the Ohio State Michigans and the Alabama Auburns and things like that we look forward to. But they don't really have major implications. And I feel like we're going to get major implications down to maybe even the last weekend this year, which would be super exciting. And obviously we spoke to everybody on our emergency pod, which by the way, I really enjoyed doing. So we might do that might do that a little more often. We both have our voices back, so that's good.
Yes.
But Tennessee is now joined the conversation. Alabama has 1 loss. So there's a lot of things that are going to need to work itself out in the next couple of weeks. So I'm not sad that we're at the halfway mark. I'm actually really excited, but I know this starting now, it's going to go by so fast, and I don't know that I'm ready for that part.
So an interesting thing on Tennessee. So we kind of recap the madness, but I'm doing a video for BR Betting this week. on Tennessee from an odds standpoint. I'm going to record it after this. So I looked this up right before we started, and I want to see if any of these intrigue you.
Okay.
Right? Tennessee is 16-1 to win the Natty. They are still plus 650 to win the SEC. Alabama and Georgia, they're third. Alabama and Georgia 1-2. They are plus 260 to make the playoff. I think no was minus 340. Yes was plus 260. And Hendon Hooker is plus 425 to win the Heisman. So what's interesting about this is they're getting some love, but you would think after a win like that, you know, that the Natty odds would come down more. Now they still have to play at Georgia. The other point spread I'll throw by you, and I'm just numbers galore. They're a double-digit dog at Georgia right now. I think the number I saw today, and I forget where it was like 11.5. So where are you? We're trying to like calculate how Tennessee fits in all this. Where are you in terms of Tennessee hype?
I would take the Hendon Hooker Heisman bet. And I would maybe take the SEC bet. I mean that obviously would mean that they would make the playoff as well. But I'm not going to be cautious as everybody else on this because like it's not like we haven't seen something like this before. Like we saw LSU do it. Like I'm not afraid to say that like I think that Tennessee team can beat Georgia. Like yeah, if I have egg on my face in a few weeks, fine. But like I'm okay saying that like if Tennessee plays their best game and Georgia even wavers a little, that Tennessee's going to come out on top.
The point spread just is, I'm not surprised, right? Home field is such a big deal, but it's still like, I can imagine that's going to attract a lot of public Tennessee action, right?
Well, and the money was all on Tennessee to beat Alabama. Like it was mostly on Tennessee. Yeah. So people bought in for that weekend, but I think they're a little hesitant to buy in on the actual season. But I'm comfortable saying that Tennessee is certainly in the conversation, and I would be concerned if I were Georgia fans because you haven't been challenged. So it'll be interesting to see how that game goes.
Can I rant for a sec, too, on why are we comparing Tennessee to 2019 LSU all of a sudden? Do we really need to do
Paige?
This? Like,
yes.
Why are we doing this?
It's not because the teams like look alike and are the same. It's because the conversation is always about Alabama and Georgia, and then randomly there's a team that can
Tennessee
win.
Almost lost to fucking Pitt. Like, can we
calm
not?
Down? You want people to calm down?
Yes.
So you are not fully buying in.
I am buying in as Tennessee being a uber fun, playoff capable team. The moment LSU is the greatest team of my lifetime. I'll say that. And you're younger than me, so probably you're. But like LSU, I think is or one of these Alabama teams that we don't have to go there. I guess.
No,
I don't want to shit on Tennessee, but I do want to acknowledge that I think the comparisons to like the pinnacle of football is a little insane to me. That's all.
I think it's mostly in the sense that like they are capable of doing it. That's the thing. Is like I'm not comparing the fact that they're like a better team. Like 2019 LSU, again, best team in our lifetime, college football team in our lifetime. It's not that they are as good as that team. It's that they are not the normal conversation. Like Tennessee is not normally in the conversation. They also went from such a huge shift in years. Like I think that's the big key is like don't forget that like nobody expected LSU to be as good as they were. And they made a huge turnaround. Joe Burrow had like legitimately the best statistical turnaround of any college football quarterback from season to season. And I think that is what is similar is that like when Georgia won last year and we were having this conversation, it's not the same as LSU because Georgia's been building to get there. They've been expected to be there. And I think it's more about the conversation and less about the actual team on the field.
It's just dumb.
But I understand your concern and I will pump the brakes, but if I'm right, you better be ready, buddy, because I'm going to be bragging.
No, I think Tennessee is awesome. But I don't know if we forget how good that LSU team was. Like, that LSU team was...
You think I can forget how good?
That's true. Actually, I'm saying that to like literally the wrongest person on the map. the Joey B. No, but like, I think we gotta wait. I think Tennessee won an amazing football game that the other team committed 17 penalties and missed a game-winning kick-in. And I do want to talk about Alabama, but before we do, I'll say one thing I am completely buying is Hendon Hooker.
I have a hard time saying his name. Like, it comes out not
No, that's the you have a hard part with the first part.
First name.
I mean,
and you're like, I can't say his last name without a straight face.
Nope, no problems for me. No, I'm fine.
I meant Hendon. I wasn't like Hendon.
When I've done radio interviews and like not even accidentally, just say like his last name.
Hooker.
Like, Hooker played a good game. It's like, ugh, like, so, but he has been amazing.
Yes.
And I could say this. He's a certified Heisman candidate for sure. And also, I think throws one of the prettiest footballs I've ever seen. Like, the ball just soars out of his hand beautifully. Mm-hmm. And he's been amazing. I mean, amazing. Every answer that Alabama had, like he had, yeah. He is like so again, like in terms of just Tennessee is a super fun team. My last point I want to make about Tennessee, I forgot to plug in my computer charger. I don't want my computer to die. That would be bad.
That would be bad. I'd be sad because you're really going to make a great point here.
Yeah, very good. I'm sure. I am so happy for Tennessee fans, and I think we said this on the pod, like no matter what the hell happens, like the Emergy pod, this is like your season. You should feel fulfilled. I know you want more, but like that was like a season's worth of success in like 5 hours.
Yeah.
Like that still resonates a couple of days later. It's what a day. It still feels like a fairy tale, frankly.
Yeah. I'm curious what happened to those goalposts. I looked to see if like on Twitter you could find where people like they've had to have like cut it up, right? And like given it in pieces.
I did a story on a goalpost years ago. I was gonna look this up. I'm gonna look it up real fast.
Okay.
When I think it was Ole Miss and the one kid who I found on Twitter, I did this for BR, doing it on my other computer. Like brought him into his dorm.
Yeah, and like it's
just chilling.
And
he was
kids will post that stuff. That's why I was like, I need to look on TikTok to find where it is. Because I saw like a bunch of views of different stuff. I think one they put in a river. I don't know.
That's a waste of a good goalpost.
Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna live there in infamy, really. I hope that it got cut up and shared amongst the people. I don't know if you saw the videos of like guys like writing it because people were carrying it. Like just such good content. But I hope all Tennessee fans have fully recovered because you've still got like the rest of the season to go. But I'm sure they celebrated accordingly. A place they weren't celebrating was Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
Are we worried about Alabama after watching that performance? What's the pulse check, I guess, on Alabama for you?
Well, you know what's interesting? The thing that's come out since this game, I believe it was Will Anderson had said they were feeling like anxiety before the football game, which is a perfectly normal and understandable emotion for someone to feel. Excuse me, for someone to feel. Not emotional. It's like an IPA stuck in my throat. But a perfectly normal. See, I was worried about coughing. I'll just choke to death and die. But like, and people were like ripping on Alabama. Like, you can't feel anxiety. Like, this is Alabama.
They really?
Yeah, people are nuts. Like, I'll tell you, Alabama fans in my Twitter feed are down bad. Like, still after this game. Still. Did you see the video of the official for like calling for touchdown and then celebrating? Like, Alabama fans are still tweeting through it, which I get. So I thought Nick Saban's been extra coach speaky this week. Like, just, you got to do better. We can do it, but will we do it? Normally they just kick the shit out of Mississippi State when they lose a football game. Like they've had to do this a few times. So I'm actually really curious to see what version we get. I also, Paige, am wondering, what does Bryce Young's body feel like days later?
Oh God, it hurts.
So Alabama's got issues, but and I don't know if they can repair them. But like you've got like two of the greatest players they've ever had at the program, and it will feel unfulfilled if this is the beginning of the end. I'd say that is the point that I thought about.
Yeah, I find it strange that that Will Anderson was willing to say that out loud, because normally we don't see that from Alabama players, but I'm not mad about it at all. I think that's a very valid thing to be like anxious about that game. And I feel like I've heard Nick Saban talk about like how you're supposed to feel that, but it's like managing that. Like if you don't feel that, then something's wrong with you. So I feel like this is maybe a conversation that they've had internally where they're like, okay, they do feel this anxiety, but you have to use it to, push yourself forward, because like you're Alabama and you're going to get everybody's best shot. And that's just the nature of playing here and being, amongst the best. I'm not entirely concerned about which version we're going to get. I have a feeling that they are going to, rebound very, very harshly this weekend. Yeah. But I also it was interesting to me because I feel like more Alabama fans were like okay with the loss to Tennessee than they are with like most losses. Like losing to Georgia for them was like the worst. I mean, I know it was a national championship, but like the worst thing of all time. Like they were down bad. And I know they're tweeting through it now and trying to find like the ref thing sucks, but I feel like they were like, okay, that's fine. We'll give it to them and we're just going to they expect them to handle their business, still make the college football playoff. And I'm still in that bandwagon that they're going to make it and handle the rest of their business.
Yeah.
So I think for Alabama fans, it's kind of just like, okay, cool. Like, congratulations, 15 years. You deserve that. But it is a little concerning in terms of like big scheme of things. Like Alabama's maybe not, going, I don't want to say this. Alabama may not be as dominant for as long as we, thought. They may have we may have seen our last of like the undefeated, no blemishes type of Alabama.
I have to find the stat, but there was a statistic from Alabama over the last 20 games that really kind of highlighted that. And it would be nice to actually have the stat in preparation, but you know how we do with this pod. Essentially saying though that like in the last 20 games, Alabama has played more close games and lost more games than it did in the previous 60 games.
Yeah.
I want to say it was David Hale on Twitter. But so the invincibility does seem to be gone, and it's even more pronounced when they're doing like 17 penalties. They missed field goals throughout Saban's era, so that's not new.
Yeah.
And they're doing it despite having, like, again, two of the best players ever from the era. Mm-hmm. So, and that's okay. It is a little weird though to feel like Alabama all of a sudden is kind of mortal.
I think too the nature of the sport in general is part of this. Like we've now seen that like Alabama Georgia, can recruit with Alabama and be successful, and there are teams that can compete with them. We saw it a little with Clemson. Like, people have developed and sort of caught up a little. No one is ever going to be able to like outcoach Nick Saban, really. Like that's just not going to ever happen. But in terms of like the talent that you're putting on the field and the, money behind it, you are going to catch up, and it's allowed them to catch up. Transfer portal, you can do it faster now. Like I think the nature of college football has led us to this, which is great for the sport in general, because people were, I think, getting a little like Alabama fatigue, aside from Alabama fans, of course, and they wanted the competition to be closer. But I find this interesting because I feel like we're going to have that conversation when we expand the playoffs. So like everybody's like, oh, it was, Alabama Clemson for a little bit. Now it's Alabama Georgia. And it's like, obviously Ohio State's still in that conversation. And then now it's going to be like the gap between the top 4 and everything else is so huge, but it's going to right itself. It is. Like if if your team's able to be in the college football playoff and you expand the playoff, more kids are going to go to schools that aren't Alabama. And I mean, they're still going to reign supreme in recruiting, but the net is going to get a little bit bigger, and that talent is going to eventually catch up. And by then, we'll probably change it to 36 teams, and it'll just be this vicious cycle. But I do think that, like, the nature of college football, like, the talent and the teams will start to catch up to the more dominant ones. And maybe we'll see some more exciting college football seasons in terms of, like, final end to this, as opposed to like exciting week to week, because as we know, it is already the best.
I do. It's a perfect segue because I want to talk about TCU because we're talking about the playoff, and the more I've thought about TCU, the more I'm like, why the fuck not? Like, why not?
Yeah.
We did this with Kansas a few weeks ago. TCU has beaten a ranked team at the time they were ranked, which actually I don't necessarily think is the greatest stat, but I'm going to use it in my favor here because what the hell, it's our pod. But they've beaten a ranked team 3 weeks in a row, and they have a fourth this week. The spread's only 3.5 points against Kansas State, which is a little interesting. But TCU, Paige, at DraftKings, I was just looking at odds. It sounded like you fell down a flight of stairs.
Nope, we're good.
Okay, sound like a drum set. TCU is plus 900 to make the playoff. So I like that, actually. I think that's a pretty good bet. Although I am a little worried about this week's game, to be honest.
What's UCLA?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. That's a fun one. UCLA, you're not going to have to worry about that after this week.
Stop.
But plus 1,100 to make the playoff. Oregon is plus 900. You know what? Here, I'll just kind of bake into these because it's kind of fun. North Carolina plus 2,200, which Oklahoma State plus 2,500. That's not bad. Tennessee, we already did. Wake Forest, I know you're into that sort of thing, plus 2,500. Michigan plus 200. I wouldn't bet that.
I wouldn't either.
Georgia minus 650. I wouldn't bet that. Ole Miss plus 1,400. Don't do that. Ohio State minus 650. So obviously I know what you're thinking. Alabama plus 160. But back to TCU. So TCU plays Kansas State. They play at West Virginia. They play at Texas. That's the game that feels like a problem. They play at Baylor, could be a problem, and then against Iowa State, and then they have to play Big 12 champions. So it's not an easy schedule. But where are you with TCU? Because I really like this team. I really like that they have a new coach that's come in. They pissed me off last week because they didn't cover, but they did win. I had that like 3 times in week 7. I'm still on tilt about it. Utah, I'm looking at you also. But I still like watching this team, and I love the resolve. So where are you with the Horned Frogs?
They're exciting. I don't think I would put money on them to make the college football playoff. In terms of, like, being the only undefeated team and, like, thinking about the idea of having, like, an undefeated Pac-12 team champion, an undefeated Big 12 champion, and making the college football playoff decide to put, like, a 1-loss SEC team in with another, like, undefeated team, or 2 1-loss SEC teams in over those teams. Like, I want that to happen. So for me, I'm rooting for the undefeated to stay undefeated. Like, that is really what I want in the Pac-12 and the Big 12. Like, I would give anything to have that happen, because no matter what else happens, it's going to cause controversy in the college football playoff. Do I think it's going to happen? No. But I am on the UCLA train to beat Oregon.
I am not. We will talk about that, though, because I have very strong opinions about that.
Okay.
But what else is new? My opinions the last couple of weeks have sucked. Really, really sucked.
I like how you're wearing Horned Frog purple, too.
I know. Yeah, it's nice. This is, like, subtle. Brings out my eyes. Shout out Municipal. All right, in Michigan. So, I had Michigan people mad at me on Sunday. The internet was mad because I had a tweet saying how good that the top games were this week, which was
and you left
Tennessee. I left out Michigan. So on Sunday morning, and like the tweet, I don't know, it got passed around a bunch, and then it's like, oh, well, Michigan doesn't meet your fucking narrative, loser. Like those tweets, right? Like, and people were right because at the end of the day, the Michigan game felt like it was like 80 hours old. Like it had not been played on the same day.
Yeah, that's fair.
So it was a day of almost, and Michigan just beat the shit out of Penn State. Yep. Really impressive. I thought it could have been more. I thought the defense was great. Blake Corum is a beast. They ran for 400 yards. So I do think Michigan. We had this in our AP poll show too, quite a bit. Like two different opinions. Like Michigan is underrated. Michigan shouldn't be ranked 4. Like a slew of no in between. So days to think about it. What do you think of Michigan? Because I do think there's a lot to like here.
There's a lot to like. You just have to go up against Ohio State. Like that's the
10.5 points, by the way, is the spread in that game too. 10.5.
Wow. What's the spread this week? Do they?
Hold on. Who the hell do they?
They play this week?
I don't. I
think they're off.
They are off. They are off.
Look at them. They are off. Oh, lucky bastards.
And then who do they play? We'll do this too. I'll pull it up because obviously you have Ohio State. Penn State was a big test. So, Michigan State they play next at home. Ooh. I remember this game because I bet it preseason.
This game always gets a little weird, but I still think that it's going to be a ass whooping.
I got Michigan minus 8.5 in that game. I'll bet you the spread's going to be more than double that.
Oh yeah.
And then they play Rutgers, Nebraska, Illinois, Ohio State. Illinois is no joke.
Illinois defensively, that could be really fun.
It's at Michigan, which is a big deal because I think Illinois is a challenge. So they only have one road game before Ohio State. See, this is where I get sad looking at the season. Don't want to say that. And then, so Michigan should be unbeaten heading into Ohio State. And then what do you do with one-loss Michigan, right? Like, what do you do?
Well, that's the thing is, like, Michigan is not better than Alabama.
No.
So, like, this is just going to be, and they're not going to be better than Georgia. And then it's going to be on the fence if they're better than Tennessee.
Oh, man. Ohio State, Michigan again. I mean, that could literally be like 1 versus 3. I mean, it's awesome. Like it is awesome that game, barring anything weird, is going to be Ohio State still has to play at Penn State.
Yeah.
But that game is still going to be just fire. Like that is going to be wonderful.
I think if you are going to bet Ohio State to win the national championship, you should definitely do it before you watch them play Michigan, because those odds will become less valuable once people see them play Michigan.
I think you should have done it in August, like I told everyone to do.
I did.
Yep. That's and also CJ Stroud. So, but Michigan is good. Like, can I soapbox Harbaugh for a sec too?
Is the year 2021?
I don't agree with a lot of some of his personal takes. It's like I have to do this with Mike Gundy too. Some of the stuff he said this year, not great for my narrative. But the dude almost got canned, and he ripped off a playoff run and might rip off another. Like they're good, and he's done it with like losing the number 2 overall pick. Like it's amazing how much it's changed. Like he's probably going to get another raise, I'm assuming after this year now to keep him. Like he was gone, we were firing him. It is still wild to see a transformation this radical from what the narrative was before this time last year.
Yeah. I still...
That's all you're giving me. That's
fine. I'm not, like I said, if he beats Ohio State 2 years in a row, they're going to pay him all of the money. All of it. But
could you imagine Ohio State fans? I mean, again, Alabama fans on the Twitter this week. Whoa. Ohio State fans are not even... They're just going to delete their internet.
This is really funny. I was in our New York office for BR, and I was talking to someone, and they were saying, like, who's the worst fans? And I said the Georgia fans were the worst fans. And he said, and I didn't know what his fandom was, and I was like, oh God, are you a Georgia fan? And he's like, no, I'm an Ohio State fan. I'm so used to people saying us, which in terms of worst, I just mean most obnoxious. Like, Georgia fans really are obnoxious, and I don't mean to call you guys out, but I do. It's the barking for me.
Yeah, you did not like that at the title game.
No.
I kind of found it charming for a while.
Yeah, until someone barks at you, like grown men bark at you late at night. It's very weird. It's very strange. So we will just leave it at that.
I have nothing to add other than I don't have that problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
But well, with your municipal gear and after an OOTD video.
Maybe the barking. I'm missing it in my life. I'm a barkee normally. All right, so let's talk about this week. It's a
Sometimes people don't realize I say that this. I'm like crying. I say that this is the best part of my week, and it's just because the stupid stuff that
fucking barking in St. Elmo's. My dad is going to St. Elmo's this weekend, by the way. They're in Indiana. I'm very jealous. I got to order me some of that cocktail sauce and
it's
clear
so
my
good.
sinuses.
That'll make you cough.
Yeah.
Cough. There we go.
That'll make me what?
Cough. I meant cough.
Oh, I don't know.
Again, we are losing it. We're going off. We're off the rails. But
it is. All right, so football games. We both have UCLA Oregon as a pick. So this point spread, which we will get to, and we won't break this game down too in depth yet, but I think it's surprising a little people because Oregon is a 6-point favorite. And UCLA has obviously been really good. So this is the Chip Kelly Bowl.
Yes.
And I think if UCLA wins this, it changes the narrative. Their playoff odds obviously change. This is a really tough place to play. The one thing I found astounding in this, I need to make sure it's right.
Astounding.
Yes. And do you know that this is UCLA's, this is their second home game or away game of the year. This is their second road game. They've played 2 road games. They played one. The second will be Saturday. It was at Colorado. That's it. It is October 22nd, and they've been on the road 1 time. That is just good, bad, or otherwise. It's just fascinating to me.
Yeah. To be fair, though, their home crowd really doesn't give them much of an advantage.
No, but this crowd is going to be batshit. Yes, it's true. So I just find that interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Oregon is not an easy place to go and win. But, I mean, it's doable.
I am... You and I have talked about it. The Pac-12 has been, I think, produced probably some of my favorite football games of the year. I know Alabama-Tennessee was a gem. But this is a game that... The total in this game, by the way, 70 is what the number I see posted here. It's got one of the biggest totals of the weekend. So this could be a 5-hour football game.
Yeah. My picks and pints is on the total, but we'll get there. Ooh. But yeah, I think as a Pac-12, like, please one last shot at this. Having USC and then an undefeated UCLA play each other would be massive. I feel like it would be so cool to go out like that. But I'm nervous about Oregon. They've looked so much better. I think someone on our AP poll live was like, Oregon's so overrated. They got their ass kicked by Georgia. I'm like, have you not watched them since they played Georgia? Like, you have to pay attention.
Bo Nix has been good.
Bo Nix has been but really again, good. He's still Bo Nix. So
for sure.
I'm curious. Like, we'll know what this game is going to be pretty early on.
So here's the other thing about this game is the start time. So this is 2:30 Central start time.
Pacific.
That's not the time to play this game.
No, and those kind of games get weird.
They do.
Those get weird. Pac-12 gets weird when it's not in, like, the afternoon slate. Like, if it's the late night slate and it's during the day slate. Also, for it to be, like, your best game of the week in terms of Pac-12 and it be the noon game, that's kind of tough.
Yes. Okay. Ole Miss LSU. I also have this in my picks and pints. So and each week can be our betting.
Do I?
I do a degenerate game of the week.
Okay, I agree with you on this. Sorry.
And this is my degenerate game of the week because you've got the number 7 ranked team. Let me look at the updated odds. That is getting they're getting 2 points at LSU. Mm-hmm. So Ole Miss right now, I mean, outside of the Naval, I got to make sure. I believe they are number 3 in rushing offense in the country. They are. So they have rushed for more yards than everybody not named Air Force or Army, which is, and by the way, I mean, it's pretty crazy when you look at, they have 1,900 yards rushing. Number 4 is UCF with 1,500 yards rushing. It is insane. This is not like our Lane Kiffin that we know and love. This is like a different type of style. I have concerns for Ole Miss in this game, but what the hell do I know? And I'll save those for Picks and Pints. But what do you think of this game?
I'm taking LSU. I didn't pick this in Picks and Pints, but I think LSU wins this game. And I feel like you might be on the same page because you are rocking the purple today. So not only are you TCU, you're LSU.
Unintentional,
you really chose your
yes.
shirt. No, I was gonna say, good job to you for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I knew you had to do that. But no, I do think that, I mean, it's such an interesting storyline. The fact that, like, Lane Kiffin, again, this team is going to be probably a 10-win team. But yeah, I think going into LSU and trying to win a game, this would mean a lot to that team to get this win, I think. So yeah, I'm going to take LSU.
There are a lot of really weird football games this week, and a lot of games where you can kind of lose your ass trying to be a smart guy like I am.
Yeah.
I lost my ass last week trying to do it. This one, though, I don't. Yes.
If Ole Miss pulls this off, and I say pull this off, they're favored, or they're not favored. They're
no, but they're right there.
Higher. But if say they do win this football game, what does that do for you in terms of, like, I know earlier when we were talking about college football playoff conversations, like, could they, like, spoil it for someone? Because they play, let's look.
Oh, it sucks. I have their schedule here. So they play at LSU. They play at A&M.
Yeah.
Bye. They play Alabama at home, which is not going to be an easy game for Alabama.
No.
They play at Arkansas. They'll be an underdog in that game. And they play Mississippi State.
So
it's
really
brutal.
the only person
terrible.
they could really ruin their season would be Alabama. Would
yes,
you
from that standpoint, yes. I got to see Alabama over the next few weeks, but okay. I would probably take Alabama. Because that game's been weird,
and I mean, I think it was not last year, but the year before, that Alabama Ole Miss game was close, and we were like, "Oh shoot, is Lane going to be the first assistant to upset Nick?" I mean, we've already had that now. But
I mean, my concern for Ole Miss is Jackson Dart has been good, not great, but good. He's run the ball really well. I mean, that's been the part that's been most interesting. But he's got 11 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. And at some point, he's going to be asked to do more, especially over this stretch. And I just don't know if he's there yet. I like him. And goddamn, kudos to Lane. Like, this style, like, it's really cool to see them do this. But I think it's going to be a problem this week. All right, let's go a couple more games before Picks and Pint. OK State, Texas. It's a weird game. My first observation is Texas is getting a ton of love from the odds makers.
Yeah.
6.5 point favorite at OK State. I don't want to touch this game other than, boy, like, you know, a lot of hype and a lot of buildup for Texas. This is an OK State team that was pretty good last week. I struggled. Yeah, I wanted to have an opinion on this game. I really don't, other than I'm really excited to see it.
If Texas wants to continue moving forward towards that inevitable word we use to describe them, this would be a good win for them to have under their belt, because this is a good OK State team. And it's at OK State.
B word?
Yes, the B word.
Not that one, the other B word.
Rhymes with snack.
Yep. It's Vegas thinks that they are getting close to that.
Mm-hmm.
For an OK State team at home, this is kind of an aggressive line. I think it opened at 3. I really like what they're doing, but I told you the Iowa State game kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies, like just what Texas, like I didn't like that. So we'll be interested to see what they do, but I'm curious. And then I think this one's in your Picks and Pints, Syracuse and Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Cuse love, I think, within our kind of like
general
general vicinity.
Yeah.
I am struggling to have an opinion on this game as well, because I could see it going a few ways.
I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
Mm-mm.
Because I didn't pick Florida State to win, but I thought it was going to be a closer game with Clemson. And Clemson looks really good. But I don't think that Clemson loses this game, but I think it's going to be a closer game than expected because I don't think people are going to actually believe the hype of Syracuse, who, by the way, deserves all the hype. Same with Illinois. Go Orange.
Yeah.
And Tennessee. Wow. Big week for
Orange.
A
lot of Orange. That's great. That's a good point. Yeah. Good time to be Orange. Clemson's impressing me. I've bet against Clemson a bunch this year, and I feel like I've lost my ass betting against Clemson. So they're, I struggle with this team because they've got me kind of perplexed.
We have been waiting all year. You and I discuss writing on different teams every week. And Clemson's one that's come up that we're like, okay, at what point do we actually buy into Clemson? And I think last week they looked really good. And I was looking for them to be consistent. And they have been for the last couple of games. So if they don't slip up or have this be a close game, like I'm buying into Clemson, just making its way to the playoff.
DJ this year has 17 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, right?
Yeah. He has no interceptions against like ranked opponents, which is interesting because like those were the games that like we expected him to falter, and he's shown up. I think there was like he's had 12 TD passes in the or 12 touchdowns in the games that like 3 games that genuinely mattered.
Yes.
To their season, and like that's a huge deal. If you can step up in those moments, like that's massive. So I think if they blow this Syracuse team out, like okay, maybe we need to start having the conversation. Like nobody's played anybody, sort of like what you said. You decided that nobody has played anybody.
Yes. Shit
Nobody's
on
played
everyone.
anyone, and this is everybody's bad. But if Clemson can beat bad teams by a lot, then I don't want to hear about them not having a good schedule and things like that when we're dealing with, Georgia and Ohio State.
He last year had 13 touchdowns and 9 interceptions over a full year. And this year has there's been some weird throws. He's not throwing for a ton of yards.
No.
He's thrown for 300 yards.
No, but he's able to like extend plays a little bit better this year than he was last year, for sure.
Something has clicked. Like something I give him a ton of credit. Like, I did not see this coming, and he's been awesome. Like, he's really been good. And they used Shipley, who's phenomenal.
Just a monster.
Oh, my God. I love the way they used him, which they weren't doing at first. So I'm very curious. Is there any other game on this schedule before we get to Picks and Pints? It's a weird week. I do think Kansas State TCU is a great game. Line is only 3.5. I'm intrigued by Minnesota Penn State. SMU Cincinnati in my Picks and Pints. I don't want to talk about Iowa. Would prefer not to. The spread in this game is 29.
How many points do you think Ohio State's going to score on Iowa?
Ohio. Here's the problem. Iowa's defense is actually really good, but like.
That's what I mean. I'm looking at the total, and I need some help.
It's like what the total's like 49. Was it?
Yeah. 49.5.
I don't want this football game to take place. Like
can we just skip it?
Can they just play chess or something? Like, it's not good.
Watching the Iowa offense is going to be so. How many defensive touchdowns do you think Ohio State scores?
I was just gonna like run the clock out. Like, this is where I'd probably go under. Because Iowa's just going to run the clock out. Iowa beat them last time, too. Like, Ohio State's fucking pissed. This is not good, Paige. This is like a red alarm.
Remember when I said that they don't run up the score and they scored 70 points? So, like, I think that maybe you should.
Ryan Day is a cold heart, like, cold-blooded.
Cold heart, rosy cheeks.
No, he is. Like,
I love him.
Ryan Day does not, I don't know if he was, I can't remember if he was on that staff at the time. I think he was. That dude don't forget. So, 29 points.
That's the spread?
Mm-hmm. Anyway, let's do Picks and Pints. So,
yes.
I've got a great can alert, if you could see it on YouTube. Try and get my fat fingers out of the way. Belt and suspenders. This is Buckle Down Brewing. This is a local beer.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good. Pretty good. I like the description. El Dorado, Amarillo, and Crystal hops. I don't know what crystal hops are, but it's got a nice little taste to it. So, and you're not drinking?
No, not yet. I have to pace myself. This is a big week. Big weekend.
This is it. That's true. You are.
I am in for it, so.
All right, so picks and pints. We are. This is tough. We are going against each other on the first two games. So, do you want to do the first game?
Yes, I can do the first game. So I'm taking Duke +9 versus Miami.
I am taking Miami -9 versus Duke. This is the start of my wise guy shit.
Yep.
Duke played tough last week. Not everyone, but people were saying, "Oh wow, Duke's pretty good," and then Miami, I think, is going to kick the hell out of them.
Okay. Miami's lost badly. This year they've just had some really bad games where they've had opportunities to win and haven't. They've gotten their ass kicked a few times. And
they weren't great. They haven't been great this year. I'm putting my faith in the odds makers.
Okay.
For this one. But I don't think it's going to go well. In our next game, I have SMU +3 versus Cincinnati. You have Cincinnati, 3.5. Yes, it is up. The hook was up there, which kind of scares me, which tells me people who like Cincinnati, there's smart money moving it around. So 3.5. What are your thoughts on this one?
I'm taking Cincinnati, but I'm surprised that you aren't. I was shocked at this pick. You've been so high on Cincinnati this year.
I have. SMU has played good teams. TCU, they played tough. They played Maryland tough. I'm putting my faith in the odds makers page. It may not go well. It may not go well at all. Okay, what do you have next?
I'm taking Syracuse +13.5 versus Clemson. I just feel like 13.5 is a lot.
I kind of agree, but this is where I struggle with this game. It's going to be
I think it'll be a 10-point game.
I feel like you're going to know the result of this within the first 7 minutes. Yeah. You're going to say, yes, this is a good bet, or no.
I honestly think it'll be a 10-point game.
All right, I got LSU -2 versus Ole Miss. You like LSU as well. It's not that I'm not buying Ole Miss. It's that I'm, I guess it kind of is that I'm not buying Ole Miss. I like LSU in this spot. I think LSU at home. Again, though, Paige, they burned me badly before. I did this against Tennessee at home. LSU lost by roughly 3,000 points. We'll see what happens here. So I like LSU at home.
Okay. The next one I have is I just looked for an over because I've taken unders a lot, which I will in a sec. But I looked for an over that seemed valuable, and the Minnesota Penn State over at 44.5, I
thought about it.
Which is this is so stupid. This is so stupid, but I love it. Every bit of me is going. So I'm having a big birthday party on Saturday, so I will not be working, but I will be watching games. I am going to be hoping and praying for all those points. And I think the Penn State-Michigan game set me up for failure here because I was like, if that game can feature a decent amount of points, then why wouldn't I take a Big Ten over? Which is stupid, but I also think that it'll be a good game. I think Minnesota, needs a quality win, and I think this will be an excellent game.
I was laughing. I had to mute myself to cough because it's just I can imagine you birthday weekend making people watch this really mundane Super Big Ten football game, and it's just perfect.
We want everyone to score.
Yeah, 44.5.
But I 5 dirty martinis in, just dressed up nicely, just screaming at the television.
It's Paige, the score's 38-7. It's don't you dare change that goddamn channel. That situation. What else do I have? I have Texas Tech -6.5 versus West Virginia. So I had West Virginia last week. That was a good win against Baylor. I think Texas Tech is getting healthier at quarterback. I think they're better at home. Also, West Virginia's defense is holy shit bad. So I like that line. But again, a lot of my lines that I spotted earlier in the week today have moved a half point. In my favor, which you think would be good, down from 7 to 6.5. But it also scares me a little bit to move it down like that. I'm not am I on the wrong side? That's what I'm questioning right now. So, and then we have this last one.
Yes.
We're not going up against each other, but UCLA, Oregon. You have?
I have the under at 69.5.
Nice. And I have Oregon -6. So
okay.
It's a shit ton of points.
I can't wait till you're texting me on Saturday just so pissed at Bo Nix for Bo Nixing.
He's been good. This is like what somebody like a drug addict says. Like, no, it's not that bad, man.
I can stop anytime.
I can stop anytime.
I can quit anytime. I can quit Bo Nix anytime.
Do you know Bo Nix this year has 20 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions?
That's great.
You're just letting me implode?
Yep.
You're just going to be like, yep, that's fun, buddy. Good
and
luck
I'm
with
going to be decently drunk, so I'll probably dance on your grave as well.
Do you know that he ran for 141 yards against Stanford?
Stanford. Let's not. Relax. Dude, I can't believe you just brought up Stanford. Now I know you're an addict. You are actually a Bo Nix addict because you brought up Stanford.
No, but the stat line is hilarious. Here's what it is. I agree. Take nothing of this. 6 rushes, 141 yards against Stanford. Like, Stanford, what are we doing here?
Thank you. That should be the narrative from it, not that Bo Nix was really good.
Also, we didn't talk about Stanford losing Notre Dame. Or
Notre Dame losing to Stanford.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, congrats to Stanford on their first FBS win. We did talk about, we did. Because we talked about the days all blend together and the live stream / emergency pod / this all blending together. We did talk about how Marshall and Stanford are like 0-7 versus other FBS teams, and then 2-0 versus Notre Dame, which is not a good stat. So that's we'll do a Notre Dame a like pulse of like what they're looking at this season next week.
All right, before we jet out,
yes.
Random shit. Do you have any random shit?
I've got a lot of random shit. First, I mean, obviously I'm going to be off this weekend, which I'm super excited about because I haven't been off for a weekend in a while. So going to enjoy the football, but I have owned thatsportspage.com for 10 years. The like naming license to it. And nothing has ever been on it, but tomorrow I am launching thatsportspage.com. So it's just like a place where everything lives. All things Paige live. There is a page for No Punts Allowed. Very exciting. So
there better be.
If you ever get if you ever get lost and don't know where to listen to us, then go there. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. It turned out really well. There was technical difficulties on the back end that stressed me out beyond all belief this week, but like it's something I'm pretty proud of. So the last day in my 20s, I'll be launching thatsportspage.com, which is pretty cool.
So what else is on there? I'm not even I'm inquiring. I'm not continuing the plug.
No. You're inquiring. Mostly it's like kind of a blog, a little bit of like I belong to an influencer network and linking out to things. But just kind of anything I want it to be. Like there's blog posts about life, there's blog posts about sports. I think my 2 sports ones are like the 5 sports things that I love talking about most. Actually, do you think you can name any of the sports things that I talk about always?
Arizona.
Yep.
Did you break it up into 2, Arizona football and basketball?
No, just Arizona basketball.
College football?
No, because that's I think already just like a general. That's a really general, and these are like very specific.
Right. A's baseball?
Nope, we left that off.
We
meaning me.
It's like you and your management team here.
What's a college football thing that I like to talk about?
Alabama?
Nope. Think more specific.
What do you mean?
Think a certain trophy.
Heisman?
Yes.
I see. I wouldn't have gotten that.
That Christian McCaffrey.
You
would not have gotten that.
Well, you like Alabama money, like the Heisman. I feel like.
Yes, but the one thing that I like, these are things that I talk about the most. So it would be, it's definitely, Christian McCaffrey not winning the Heisman, which is like a little anti-Alabama, but it's not about Derrick Henry. It's not about him.
No.
Arizona basketball for sure.
Arizona basketball, Heisman. F1?
Yes,
now?
F1 is on there.
Is Arsenal on there or some sort of soccer-y thing?
Some form of like bandwagoning thing that like when I bandwagon teams that they win championships, it's not me saying that, it's just fact. So like LSU knew that early on that train. Cubs winning the World Series happened. Arsenal, look, I'm not saying it's happening yet, but we're close. Someone, I was telling them about this and they were like, did you put Alabama on there because they've won a championship since you've been a fan? And I was like, that's fair, but it's not really bandwagoning when they're that good. So, yeah.
Well, God, seriously, it's awesome. I know you've put a lot into this. I hope there will be technical difficulties because that's how web design goes. So just don't worry about it. It'll all be fixed.
It'll all be fine.
And have fun this weekend too.
Thank you.
I'm kind of jealous.
Yeah, please pray for me. We will be going live in the BR app on Sunday.
Oh my God, that's right.
Yeah, so I have
that.
Do it
like
so I'm getting
sunglasses?
Up on. So Sunday there's an Arsenal game at 6 a.m. So I'm getting up to watch that, and then I have the live stream, and then right after that there's the F1 race that's in Austin, which is super exciting. So actually, I think you should watch on Sunday. Watch the F1 race on Sunday.
It'd be fun in Austin. It'd be a fun place to do it.
Trust me, I wanted to go, but tickets by the time I realized that it was my birthday weekend, a little out of control. So, yeah, it'll be a fun weekend. Any random shit on your end?
I am excited for the UFC card.
Okay.
It's kind of an interesting one. So it's middle of the day Saturday. I am working on Saturday, but it's in Dubai. It's on Fight Island. So it's like a 1:00 main card.
Fight Island. I totally forgot about that.
Oh yeah, it's still a thing, and it's like the best UFC card of the year. So okay. That will be on one of the TVs for sure. I am pumped about this. You know,
is that going to bump Penn State, Minnesota off?
yeah, we got to do some TV management. Although I've had the 2 iPads down there. Like last week, we were rolling.
Oh yeah, you have to have multiple screens.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm very much here for that card. So I'm going to be doing that and working. And I'm trying to think what else random. Not really. Everything is good. Like I'm excited. I got my energy back. Told you a couple of weeks ago I was in the doldrums of.
I think that was like literally last week. I think we were both just so it's been dragging on for us, but I feel like we've done a good job and we're in a good spot. So it'll be exciting. It's a fun weekend.
All right. Well, happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful birthday and launch of your site.
Thank you.
And enjoy the games, everybody. And we will talk to you guys next week.